which is our game number 7 here for Group A. We are going to head onto the plane, and once again, good old center planes are providing plenty of opportunities for these teams for us.
This is more or less the perfect plane path. If it was a little bit more to south, it would have been totally perfect for everybody. That's what you want to see, because you want everybody to be on equal level in the start of the game. So, I mean, I don't think we're going to see anything. It would be Isuba. I'm not sure where they're going to go, because they always go with a plane, and that's going to be interesting to see.
I mean, at the end of the day, if you take our plane paths and you chart them out over the last day and a half, it would make a nice giant star right smack in the middle of the map. It's been fair. No one can argue otherwise. This map, the last one for this group, will be determined, again, on skill, rotations, and mastery of a very difficult terrain and a very difficult migration from north to south. I can't wait to see who comes out on top. It's the last one for our Miramar Masters to prove that they are exactly that.
That is right. Ideal for Avangar as well, who managed to get up to military very, very quickly. Thank you very much, guys. Let's head over to the commentary team for all of the action.
Thank you very much, guys. And here we go. The final round on Miramar for Group A. Of course, Group B is going to have 2 more maps. That will be later on with Pansy and Moses. A combo you've probably heard before in a different game. So, Zuktanam getting themselves perfect spot. Isuba going south. Just about everybody's going to be happy with this one, apart from the Los Leones guys, which is OHM. Gamer Legion, of course, the ones that just won, and it's a different circle for you. Finally, it's a more southern edge. We've seen this circle a number of times. It encompasses Comisera, Monte Nuevo, obviously Picado. So the compounds that are in and around the west side of Picado probably going to be where most people will be posting. There's a lot of prime real estate in and around there.
Comisera hard shift, calling it now. Straight down south, land on it, and have done with it. Those hillsides, it's rough terrain, but it's actually not a bad little fight if you manage to get yourself some decent weaponry in it and a nice bit of decent scenery to revolve off the back of. Either way, as it was mentioned on the desk, very, very central playing path, ending smack bang in the middle of the map, just above Monte Nuevo, and everyone can kind of go home, go where they really want. Interesting one from when we look towards Crew and AP. There are 2 teams that are rather close and actually sharing Impala, to be honest with you, so we need to keep an eye on that and just make sure that they don't take any pokes or peeks early game one another. There is currently 2 players from either team sharing it. It's an interesting one. Leones is completely empty. That's potentially where the rest of Alpachinki may end up.
Yeah, it's been them and OHM sort of sharing it. I mean, also looking with the circle path, you think of Avangar, Penta, Fenerbahce, TSM, all the guys that were on pretty much the trajectory. While they are the furthest point north, they're going to have looted by like 4 or 5 minutes anyway, so they're already going to be on the raid pretty early. The problem is for Avangar, they can't rotate too early because they've got to push through Penta. They don't want to get caught out in that cluster. They too tend to take a fairly southern pass and then come in from the east. As you just mentioned, Crew and Alpachinki very close to one another on that coastline around the Impala area, so they're going to be careful they don't bump heads on their paths. SDF, a team that's been rotating very early actually, around about the 4 or 5 minute mark. They're probably going to see them going relatively soon and looking for those central points. As I mentioned, with this circle the way it is, not too sure if you guys have seen it on the screen yet, actually. There it is. Just look pretty much central point. These are the standard compounds, right? You think of Optic and Phase, you know, the times we've seen them come fighting over these sort of compounds, Monte Nuevo area, etc. There's a lot of real estate in the first circle, of course. As you mentioned, you know, they just mentioned on the desks, hard shifts happen, deal with it. A hard shift in this circle, you reckon it's going to go Comisero, or you think it's going to go down south? We have seen it go that way. That was the game that Tornado actually picked up their 22 kill spree when it took a fairly similar circle edge here. A team that absolutely needs to step up is G2. With these guys on your screen here, this has been a rough time for them. Look at the total live ranking points right now. You know, there is a big time. Some of these teams have to step. We were talking about, you know, 3,000 points is roughly the cutoff, we think, around about 8th place. Sans Domicile on that border at the moment with 1,100 points. If any of these teams, I mean, look at it, from 1,100 points down to 600, Alliance, all they need is like one big win or something, and suddenly they're going to launch themselves up there. One of these guys, they're all capable of it. I mean, Alliance, prime example. There's 4 very good players on that team that just don't seem to be able to play together.
But they have 3 times less than #1 spot.
That is true.
That's
But that's not their worry. Right?
Unfathomable
You're
amount of
not looking
points.
to win the league. You're just looking to get through into the next phase.
Top 8. That's all you need to get. Top 8. And that's absolutely within reaching distance. I mean, top 8 currently, funnily enough, is the 1,000 point cut-off mark. Everyone else below drops down that. But it's a very even split amongst all those teams down there. G2, there were questions about their performance coming into this. There were questions whether or not they could step up to the plate. So far, it's not looking great. Alliance, though, as you touched on, Lee, there's some absolute banger of some names on there, and they could shoot right up with one very, very good game. But that's for everybody, you know. When you're looking at Zen,
I would expect Zen to do better than they are, actually. I mean, while this is, I believe, the first LAN performance
to step up this one, though, isn't it?
But you know, that's a team that has performed online regularly for months. So you kind of expect them. They've never been like an A lobby team. But certainly, I would say, in this class of teams, I would expect them, if it was online, to certainly perform. Isuba have got Swarker down. Anyone nearby to res him? It doesn't look like it. G2 on the rotate, getting shot at by the guys of 7, who are rock bottom of the table at the moment. 7, it has been a poor performance for Muminai and the guys, who was very happy with the lineup, with Crab doing the calls, but it really hasn't been a performance that you'd write home about while we're here in the CIS region. Gaming Legion already looking to try and find a decent compound. Of course, they start in Picado, so no surprises to see them on the move early. SDF, I mentioned, they do tend to get moving early. They're already looking towards central points. Holo's going to get that. Wacko returning fire. G2 there on 7, both starting around the power grid area.
So looking at this circle then and discussing how things could unfold. You may have the Jokers that take the northern edge of it. They do have some room to interject themselves. They've got they've got that bridge line that's been so present for the last 3 or 4 days. Tornado, they can keep El Pozo. Good to see all these shots going off. Just trying to pick up some easy points. That's a tie on, so he might go for the finish, but 2 players if he does. For now? No, I'll just carry on for now.
Evasive manoeuvres.
TSM, nice little cut-off for them. I can see them getting inside the circle. They've found themselves a road which is uncontested and unguarded. They need to be very careful, though, depending on where Jokers go. A Vanguard, you said, Lee, they might go for this really, really long swing. And they even they could actually, depends, they could come in on the very, very most southern side of the circle and take the hill line for themselves if they really want to. Oh, failed his driving test. Feels that hurt as well.
Moments nearby as well. He's already took pot shots at some of the team.
Yeah, I think that with these little houses, that's the thing, is that you can start tanking up the vehicles, you can start taking away the health from them and making them very weak as they go into the latter stage of the game, which again becomes a problem because you meet up with the team. It's simply 30 bullets from an AK and will do the entire car and blow it up. Gustav, 50% HP, so he's either been shot or he's been. I mean, that's his job, right? We've seen it. Oh, he's took another bullet as well. So that is someone shooting at him in the distance. You just saw his health go down another 20%. He'll see Compot. They'll be calling all these rotators out. They'll be calling for TSM. Where do we want to go, boys? Where do we step it up? He is the shot caller. He is the man who generally you will see. I say shot caller, that's the wrong word. He is the scout. He's the one that will die first, naturally, because you don't want to see the rest of the team fall.
I think is he the shot caller on the team as well? I think Gustav's the game leader.
Right? I think he's the IGL. I did see. I went to go watch them in the warm up, and he was the one saying, "Come here, come there, come here, come there."
Where's he going? He's going a long way west.
He is, because that's going to be the best place, and they'll know this one, which is a good play from TSM to take the western edge, which is kind of. There's going to be no one there because they'll all expect and anticipate the circle to centralise. You won't expect a hard shift. You always play for the centralisation, which they'll say, okay, these are clear, because there's nothing worse. It's such a crap, really crap feeling when it's like circle 1, you rotate, you pull up to a compound, bang, you're dead. You're all down to 75%.
Look at Vanguard's rate. This is what I was talking about. Like their rotations, they take some pretty long, severe rotations. Obviously, they were Campo Militar to Tierra Bronca. Obviously landed very much from the very start, so they've had a long time to loop, but they're coming way down south. What I don't think that counts in on is the fact that crew are doing the same. Sesco, Sandstorm aside, they lose the first player so often in this. Obviously, a couple of teams clashing compounds at the moment, as Wacko also getting a knock on there. Steven's going to get him up by the looks of it. Kudatastic catching him with the Car 98. But as you mentioned with TSM, actually, it makes a lot of sense now. Look at it. Yeah. Their positioning, they know that there's going to be no one on the west because nobody drops over there. Monte Nuevo is the furthest west that anyone will be dropping. Even Valdemar was kind of not really touched by these super guys this time around. So they are coming from an angle that they know it's going to be safe to make the move from. Penta themselves coming down from the north, of course, they were up over in Al-Azhar. They've had to delicately make their way over because obviously they know TSM are in and around there, so they've come in fairly late. It doesn't mean they're going to be late getting into a compound. Of course, we don't know whether it's going to be a split. Something that I would expect to see, and I think I'm seeing Gamer Legion doing it, is a much bigger 2-2 split from some of the teams. Because this is a large, obviously, Phase 1A is a large area. But more importantly, this circle has a ton of compounds. So it's not like you need to fight for those compounds early. You could easily go for those 2-2 splits, wide 2-2 splits as well.
It's a land grab, right? You just extend your reach and you just kind of exert your dominance over a certain area. The interesting one for me will be later in this game is if we see both Crew and Avanga coming on the same path, but they've both taken an extremely southern swing, all the way down the west coast, excuse me, all the way down the east coast, very, very east coast, along the edge of the beach. And they're coming around the Valdemar area. You know, a couple of shots in the background, that's because everyone's getting close. And next time they bring the circle up on the map, you'll be able to see how densely populated it is. Now, an interesting one for TSM, they actually have a team flanking them from behind. Fibonacci is doing the exact same maneuver that they did in past El Pozo. With El Pozo, and with any compound, you'll be saying, okay, doors are open, loot's, you know, this has been looted, so there's either a team lingering or lurking. I actually think Wookie Bookie is either going for a new vehicle or he's setting up a crossroads watch. And when I mean by that, they'll just be the one who sits back and gives him the info.
Wait, Chem, I know we were just talking about how there's a lot of compounds, but if you're moving in on the 11-minute 30 seconds,
that circle.
11-minute 30 seconds, you don't look to go center 11 minutes in. There's not going to be spots. Speaking of centering, the circle has done just that.
That's as smack bang as it gets.
Center.
Good God, and everyone's almost in late. This is going to be so dense, and people are going to be just... so the issue is now...
Look at the south. Look at the south.
Yeah, I mean, all these teams are going to be coming in, and they're all going to be kind of... for Avanga, they'll be coming out of the blue, 50% HP. The problem with this circle is, if you went quickly, if you are lacking gear, if you've got medium scopes, if you've got level 1 gear, you ain't getting any more because you now hunker down and hope for the best and pray the circle comes your way. There is nowhere else to go. Power grid's open, but there's no one really to take it. Maybe the Jokers move into that. But the southern edge of the circle is going to kill so many frigging teams. There's 4 of them all closed in together. You've got Crew, you've got AP, and then you're going to have a Vanga that's going to push him from the back and pincer in. And this is the fight that I'm talking about exactly now. Alpachinki and the rest of the boys, they've got to push back. But they can't stay around for too long because Avanga's on the way in. Yeah, they're still in the blue.
Avangard are going to be thinking we've made a lovely south swing, completely unaware of the fact that Crew have done the exact same thing. Alpachinki have done the exact same thing on the exact same road. Avangard, okay, they're making it just, they're going to go up Valdemar. So they've gone from Campo Militar all the way around the edge to Valle del Mar to come in from the back. And I think they're going to run straight into the backside of Fenerbahce and TSM. Penta picking up a couple of kills here. Continuing on with my my little rant. OHM, probably the worst rotation I've ever seen a team make in Phase 1. I don't think it's actually that possible to make such a bad rotation in Phase 1. But to run in at 11 minutes 30 seconds and try and go center at 11 minutes 30, you're just passing by every single team. Surprise, surprise, they've lost 2 players trying to get into that central point. It was... I don't even know what is going on from the in-game leader's position there. Crew, looks like they've lost Buyakaya. I'm going to go for it, which I believe is Iroh's brother, if I'm not mistaken.
I'd love to get eyes on TSM because they've actually moved out of Montenegro, but they've given up the prime location of a free city, let alone a compound. And they're actually pushing hard to get more centralized. Zen are directly in front of them. In fact, these are the players you can see on screen right now. And then all of a sudden, you've got G2 in the back lines. TSM have to be careful here. They don't want to get too overzealous. And as I'm saying that, literally, I'm seeing Gustav, I'm seeing Turtle. They're all buggering off back to Montenegro. They will maybe hunker down here. They realise what we're going on, so they've opted to say, nope, balls to that, boys. Let's back off. Let's hold it down. Let's see where the circle goes. I get the idea. Move forward. Get more centrals. I understand that fully. But I like the play, the commitment. Say, nope, it's fine. We're okay at the moment. We've got 4 alive. Because this is a dense circle.
Asveron scouting for Avangard has spotted Fenerbahce just ahead of him. So
where did they come in?
Avangard coming in the south. Well, that's just it. I think
so late.
They've come in so far from such a long rotate that they expected it probably to be clear and realizing, oh, there's teams here.
Max has not got out of the blue from blue 1 yet. Max is still he's still been in the blue from blue 1. He's now on blue 2.
I mean, how many meds have they used out there? I know it's only been circle 1. Well, we're in phase 2 now,
everything.
but there must be so many meds they've gone through. They're going to have to work their way through teams. There's a decent crate. Org 4 times. Obviously, level 3 is what you're really looking for. That is very much a gift for G2, so they're going to be collecting that one. Steven will be happy with that. Of course, they were knocked earlier on, but they've got themselves back on their feet. Most teams are inside the circle, which means it's really going to be positional play for the next 5 minutes.
The interesting fight might be a fight for survival when we look towards Vanguard, not Avangard, whatever way you want to say it. AP still under fire, still trying to find the kind of feet. They are in a bit of a rough spot because there's 3 teams who do have eyes on them. Super like the previous one. Alliance is also be able to see them. Fenerbahce is just behind, so you can't really run away from that compound. It's also on the outskirts.
I love the irony, right? If you look at the map layout, you can't really make it out at the moment because we're looking at Al Pachinki, but the map layout, Gamer Legion obviously were in Picardo. They're actually the most Western team in that area. Everybody's made such diverse rotations coming in from the south, coming all the way around the north, that actually the direct route east to west is by far the clearest. It's crazy.
Well, that's because you have to look on the back of where the plane came in as right and where all the teams like to go. Because of the circle compared to them, you're going to understand in your mind, okay, well, we know where. Once you know your enemy, it's a big part of PUBG is knowing your enemy and understanding what they're going to do and understanding that where they'll actually potentially do. Really quickly, Circle has come through and now everyone's just trying to absolutely rush the living hell out of it and switch up to several different places.
I like this. Zuktanam could just group in.
I'll tell you what I don't like, 58 alive for this Circle. TSM, good play, good read from them to move back to Montenuevo. It's stuck him. All right, it's on the edge and you'd expect the hard shift if it were to go their way. It's going to be a little bit difficult. There is the crossroads they can play off the back of.
Fenerbahce, they're just scouting. You can see Zuktanam just left that warehouse. Fenerbahce spotted it, but Pachinki also spotted it. Avangard coming straight in the back of TSM. You can see them all coming in. This is definitely a points clash as well. Max Isaac gets caught out. You can see Azran gets a peek around there, and Uktiv gets Wookie Bookie down, and now he's going to get flushed out as well. TSM losing to 1. Rory with a climb angle catches the head of Azran there. The nade's going to come up following. That could be a double straight away with that nade. He's going to bounce around the wall there, gets inside. Max Isaac gets the other side of it. Azran bleeding quickly. Max Isaac will get back up. The nade's actually going over the top, skimming over a little too far. Don't know whether TSM want to push on this. There's 2 Avangars down.
I'd like to have seen Rory get a bit more aggressive. There's no real need to do it. I understand that, but
his backup's a long way away.
It is, and is it really worth it to lose? They've already committed to staying back for now. The only problem is it is a Vanguard, and they are aggressive and they are nasty. And now all of a sudden, you've got 2 knocks. You've allowed them to go from 50% to get back to a whole 100% capacity. They lost 1. And Nuktiv is punished and sat back for now, but they've got the vehicles, which is the most important thing. They're also extending further. So the positive effect is that they can sit and hold Montenuevo. If it does go that way, they can get ahead of the pack compared to a Vanguard. So they can hold a Vanguard back because of where they are now. They're in a good location. It all depends on this next circle. If it's centralized, it's going to go pretty much to a cornfield. And then everyone on the outskirts dies. Tornado are in a rough spot because there's no real prime position. They've got 1 compound between about, what, 500-600 meters, if that. Jokers can see them. If Penta come forward, they'll be able to see them. TSM will absolutely be able to see them. Even Fibonacci.
Yeah, Alliance, I kind of feel sorry for, right? They had this massive landmass of Kumisera. Like, it was spread 4-man. They were in a 4-man spread around Kumisera. And obviously, you know, they can't complain too much because it has centralized. It hasn't hard shifted. It's just very much centralized the last 2 circles. But it's got them in this horrible position. They're going to keep creeping in behind Isuba, who are creeping in behind SDF.
It's time to work for the money, Lee. It's time to show what they can do and what they're made of. They can kill. They can frag. They can play. They should get the vehicles, smash Isuba, take it from them, kill them, take all their loot, get the points, move on. The problem is, obviously, it's a rough territory. I didn't realize there was a level 2 building there. That's really rough ground. So, okay, I'll take it back then. Rushing them would be stupid because they're going to die from the level 2. However, if they can, they need to start killing teams. They need to start doing what they can do in terms of fragging capabilities, because just playing for placement, honestly, that's why I kind of think they're in the bomb spots at the moment. They're not really playing to kill people. They're just playing to try and stay alive. And super passive, super defensive play still like that, it ain't going to work.
And if you look at the area, the landmass that's available, there's not really too many compounds available now. Obviously, they've been occupied. G2 have a solid spot in the center, but they do have 4 teams around them that could certainly descend down the hills towards them. So it's not as safe as it sort of makes out. Obviously, Zucht'at-Nam, they've condensed in this perfect spot almost. The central compound, one that FaZe like to get, and there we go. Look at that. Zucht'at-Nam in prime spot. Fenerbahce were gifted that compound. It is a large open warehouse that Avangard can go up on the hills and kind of put a bit of punishment down on them along with Alpachinki. But everybody else now, it's really tough because there's a lot of open territory in this next circle.
Tornado dies here, unfortunately. That's one of those, unless they can just trailblaze it. But
Jokers are sending it. Jokers are sending it.
They're all going to crash. TSM have to be aware here because they're in the corner, and all these northern teams are going to come flying their way. So they've got to have a head on a swivel, be ready to tap them off as they drive on by. You'll hear all the bullets flying now. X-Team's already been span out. That's his vehicle gone. Suba, the same. Swalker, he has to hide away inside the cabin because, again, his vehicle's completely gone. This is the absolute mad lad dash.
Yeah, all the scouts, everybody's trying. This is time to earn your money. T-Bone's going to be that guy.
Go.
You can see he's got smoke ready. There's 2 of them on the back. Looks like 7 are doing the same. They're launching all the way around the south here. T-Bone's going to launch it over the top there. Not an ideal path to take, and very skilled driving, I think, to try and avoid the damage as much as they can. Kickstart style going on here. It's an old TV program that anyone in England may well recognize, but he's going to have to pull in the backside of Alpachinki. Oh, Swalker got taken down. He was the man in the little shack. That means the rest of Isuba, they're going to try and come in to help him out there and get him alive if they can, but it's going to be a tough run. You can see Michael did get taken down on the bike. That kind of worked against him. T-Bone had to bail off it. Isuba going to be the team in the hills. 7 have gone all the way around the edge, and they've come straight in the backside of Isuba. They're still going to have to be fighting, but they're fighting outside the circle. Moleman, is he going to try and look to drive straight up on him? Literally pulls up and takes Grag out.
Yeah, but doing so now, you've obviously got the rest of 7 looking at your backside. So, all right, it might be 16 points, but has he just given himself, essentially killed himself by putting in that position? It's a questionable one. But again, I suppose he would have died while rotating across. You'd have expected that player to kill him and take him out. T-Bone's dead. He's gone, so he's Frillkill, so he's Rupture. This is the problem with this circle now. Everyone just starts to fall under the hammer of the rotations. TSM, they're sitting happy. Avanga, they pissed off upside the hills and unfortunately got punished for it. Sigsy, he's also been confirmed. So that's 16 points going the way of Kalimdor and his boys on the Fibonacci side. Avanga have actually done TSM a favour. They've given them some breathing space. And by doing so, they've now created a bottleneck. So everybody should flood their way if they come from the northern areas. I like what Penta's done, though. They've realised, OK, the cornfields, we have to get ahead of the game. Alliance is eliminated in 15th place. Dear. That's another trash game for the boys in green.
Meanwhile, up in the north, the Jokers and Tornado, you talked about it. They had a horrible push. Tornado have actually made it over the road, but they're engaged very much in a brutal brawl with Jokers. Sort of destruction back and forward. Penta have managed to make it in there with 4 alive. A little late sending aspect, essentially. TSM catching the backside of Tornado. It really is an exposed position for them, as OHM will be eliminated. Not too surprised. Their rotation was god-awful. G2, who were pretty much central in the last circle, have found themselves on the edge. Their compound still survives in there. As the nades go back and forward, 7 down to Edelweiss. Looks like Zupa, well, he's in the blue now. He's got to make a move. Edelweiss going to just try and wait it out. Krab's going to bleed out as the rest of the teams sit and wait. It was a brutal shift for any team that didn't hold the compound.
Fibonacci did well. They got aggressive and they extended and took the compound. There was another team that did push back on that one, but to be able to get away from both Avanga, TSM, and another team, to fight off 3 teams, keep 4 alive and move forward, and now all of a sudden they've been gifted the circle, so this is paying dividends for them right here.
Oh,
they have the lead compound. Zupta's dead, so is Kimben, as you mentioned it, Lee. They're just begging and praying inside the little hut, hoping to survive for a little bit longer.
And the circle does go. I tell you what, Fenerbahce right now.
Great player.
Yeah, 1907, Fenerbahce, the Turkish football team based in Istanbul, obviously represented by the Griffins team, actually, here. In the warehouse that was gifted to them.
Exactly.
You know, Zucht'at-Nam were in this, who still hold the compound in the circle, but they are now plumb center in this giant warehouse.
If TSM wants to survive, they have to fight. Avanga's looking at them. There's a ridge line. There's a really nice ridge line that will stop any team from pretty much its survivability. Avanga have the top of the hill, though. They need a pick. If Turtle or Rory can land a shot and get a pick, they have to push it. All three of them, it'll be a 3-on-3 fight, and they can take that hillside ridge. All these other little fights are just...
Now's the time to go.
There you go, that's the pick. So in theory now they should just blaze it.
Well, Pachinki can't go for it. TSM
Gustav's doing it.
Looks like they're trying to get a run over the road. It's a tricky run. Looks like Turtle's laying down the cover fire as they go for it. Meanwhile, we see X-Team pushing on the Jokers. They've had to leave the shack. They're going to get a peek across the side, and Turtle in the backside gets himself an angle and gets X-Team down. That's while the blue is pushing their backs. He may well be left to die, I think, there, as Tornado have to jump in the vehicles and get out of there. Yep, they're going to take him down. He's going to try and take his meds and get the hell out of Dodge. G2 also trying to send it. They're coming in the backside. Penta's little compound is still not safe. They're going to have to move in the circle. G2 are just sending it right in. They're going to find themselves a ditch. They've gone with the vehicle compound setup. Asverin going to get flushed out by Pachinki. Sans Domes Sile going down. They were in a really good central spot, but it's cost them in the end as they get pressured on the move in this next phase.
TSM's made it in, but Vanguard is still lingering in the distance, so they have to be careful. G2 have no idea how they're still alive. Tornado just looking for something to do, and there you have it, down and dead they are. 12th position for them. All of a sudden, Pachinki now gets eyes on a Vanguard from the top of the hillside, and that's a very interesting battle because whoever does that will be able to survive at least till the next round simply because of where this open ground is. Gustav is chilling now in the backlines, and again, we're just talking off a map here to try and give you the overall arching picture here. Zen and Fibonacci, they're just sitting. They're doing nothing. Joker's also fallen to the whip there of Turtle. Velen finds back onto one, and Timber, now he's down. Turtle and the boys are actually starting to wake up a little bit here. There's some nice shots and some nice kills at TSM.
The Jokers guys, they were kind of locked in this fight with Tornado, right? And it was mutually assured destruction, both to the north and just completely screwed each other over. Edelweiss getting caught and taken down by Zugtnam. They're starting to collect quite a few kills here. Zugtnam holding that primary compound. It's got a multi-story building. It's got a great view arc of pretty much the entire territory, while Fenerbahce, they do have this warehouse area. It's not the greatest. Penta losing a couple to the blue. That's not what they need. Chris has made it in there, so Joker's going down in the 11th place as Kudatastic continues to get a swing. I think he has an idea of where Udir is. Udir's going to have to move in, but now Zugtnam need to make the move. The compound they left, it's always that choice, that tough choice. Which one do we go with? We went with the one that was more defensive, and it's benefited with the frags. But now we see the warehouse that Fenerbahce hold is the final compound. Who is going to be able to make it for it? That's the problem. TSM and Avangard are about to fight over the hill. Avangard, they're engaged with Pachinki, and TSM are sneaking up behind them.
TSM actually backing off from this one. Someone's made the call to not bother with it. G2 in the north, TSM to the west. The east coastline, probably, I don't think there's really much too grand. You might get off the back of the roadside that Zen might be able to take advantage of. Udir and Chris, they are separated and they have something, which is better than nothing. But Fibonacci, with the split they've got across 3 compounds, they have a full 360 vision of the entirety of their surroundings. So this, for them, is so defensive and playing so well. Nobody should be able to take them out. The only way they do this is like G2 or TSM gets a knock or a pick on either Zonk or Marco, because then that removes the compounds on the backside, because Kalimdor and BSD will be able to chill on their own on the rather large warehouse. There's so many teams up Fibonacci that get caught off guard here. Ivol's making a run for it. He's turning up. Smashes it. Oh, he didn't actually push it forward. I thought that vehicle might directly push it in, but the bullet comes through. Does he get the res off?
He got sniped. He got sniped by Vascu. That's worked out well. So they gave him the cover fire. Chris also picked off, so Penta go down in 9th position. You know, this is working out so well for some of the teams down the bottom. The one team that's getting screwed is Alliance. Obviously, they were down the bottom, and the fact is that Fenerbahce, a team that was down there with them, at Isuba, who'd just gone out a moment ago, also down there with them. G2, a team that's down there with them. They're all up in this last 8, and it's all costing them points at the moment. Zugtnam have found that ditch. They've got in there safely, so they've moved out. Mac and Dark's been picked off, so Hans the last man standing for Gamer Legion. Mumino, the last man standing for 7. Pachinki and Avangard very much on top of each other, but it looks like Avangard going to come out very much on top of this spray, unless Alfplays can do something huge. Gets one down, gets around the side. TSM moving on force. They're coming straight over the back of the hills here, so whoever comes out on top of this is going to get caught out because TSM are flooding towards them.
2 players go down. All of a sudden, Gustav comes in for a 2-for-1. 32 points in the bag there with 1 nade, and all of a sudden, TSM, they control the entire side of this hill now. Great play so far, but again, it still comes back to who the hell and how the hell do you get Fibonacci out of this? Zen and G2 could kick off at any minute. Circle updates again, stays in this position. So all of a sudden it's Zen and G2 that have to make the move. Now, the way this plays out, they look at all these vehicles that Zen have. If they decide to crash the compound, you can't. 2 players cannot kill all 4. If they remove just one compound from Fibonacci, it opens up the entirety for all the rest of the teams to make a way in.
Here's the TSM nade. Gustav bounce over straight on top of Snoopy, Maxizer. And at the same time, Alf Plays, of course, had also been taken down. Zugton now looking like they may try and challenge out G2 first before sending over the road. They need to clear their sides, and G2 actually are on the hunt. Look at Wacko and Steven. They're going towards Zugton. Zugton looking to smoke their way across, so they want to run it. And I think G2 are going to stab them in the back here. I don't think they're going to be aware.
There's been a warning shot. Look at the dust that's kicking off. So they know they're there. They're just trying to bait them out here and pretend that there's a fight going down.
Fenerbahce have moved. They've moved out of the warehouse. They've constricted. They've got into the one compound. They've realized there's too much real estate to try and cover, which actually gives TSM a little in. They can actually get around the back. Marco's Delvecchio trying to cover them off. But look at this. TSM, they're taking pot shots. Turtle's got a buggy ready, but it's Zugton now. And G2 engaging. The nade comes in. Eki taking down. The vehicle done. Now they go for around the side. Evil gets a little peek around, gets Velen down. Wacko also picked down. Evil gets himself a second. And G2 going to get flushed out. Steven, the last man standing. Evil surely sees him. No, he's staring straight at him, but he doesn't get the shot. And Evil is down. The rest of Zen are gone. Kudatastic sent it. He's got in the warehouse.
More importantly, there's actually been a knock on Fibonacci's side. And this is what I mentioned about just removing 1. Because in removing 1, it removed 2. It forces them into this. So they lost a player during that. I've no idea how.
All 3 of them tried to nade Marco Devakin. All 3 of them bounced off the wall.
Okay. How did Fibonacci lose a player?
I don't know whether it was when Kudatastic maybe got across. I got a feeling it might be Zugton now. I didn't see it. There was so much going on.
No, there was no players in there. They all committed to those 2 compounds. And so Kudatastic's on his own here. He didn't probably realise this.
Unless TSM caught him in the
Steven
cross,
should
maybe
go down. Okay. Maybe. But now it's a 3 versus 3 versus 1. Kudatastic really can't do much apart from hope that he gets the circle, just be a nuisance. No one, well, I say no one wouldn't expect him there. They know he's there because they saw the vehicle come flying across the road. He made it. Personally, I would like to have got them the vehicles and just bombed it all the way over. Marco finds Turtle. I think he'll be able to crawl his way back unless that nade's good. That would be devastating for TSM. I like what Rory's doing, keeping the pressure up, keeping them back.
Marco's pushing. That's a bit dangerous. Rory just spotted him. He's going to try and underhand nade. They're actually trying to push the hill.
This
is very aggressive play. Rory's just going to back away.
Surely
completely know they're coming over. Marco gets the knockdown onto Rory. He was trying to get the res up, gets Turtle up, but it doesn't matter. He's got no health left. This is a great little push coming out from Fenerbahce. They're going to flush out TSM in 3rd place. And now Zugtotnam's Kudatastic is left in a 1v3. And he's got eyes. Couldn't land the shot, though. He has Marco's down still. Look at BSD was on nothing. Oh, that was so close. But 10 kills for Zugtotnam. It's a good performance from them nonetheless. They did get a chicken dinner yesterday. Not going to be the case this time. Fenerbahce, this would be their first win for formerly the Griffins, who've had a woeful time so far and a massive points burst. And this, honestly, is playing out and leveling up the entire group. With the last 2 games, you know, the lower teams picking up the wins is really hurting the teams that are down the bottom. But more importantly, it's closing the entire group together with still, we're just literally approaching the halfway point.
For teams who like to play like pussies, let that be a lesson. You saw the knock come through on the TSM, and all of a sudden Fibonacci said, right, let's advance on this one. Let's just go charge it and finish them off. I like what Rory was doing. It was a good effort to try and hold his ground. It was just bad timing. He went to go throw the grenade, and they pushed at the right time. So Curse of the Caster on our side. Marco spots him. This should be an easy one, surely in the bag. I mean, Kudatastic's a bloody good player, so you can't.
Flank.
But he is 50% HP. Still drilling him down. Oh,
they're making it 1v1s. They're making it 1v1s.
They should have pushed it as a 3.
That's
because remember, one of these already been knocked, Lee, so that's utility gone down from them. That's a 2-2 I'm seeing on one individual player. I mean,
okay, BSD and Zong are coming together now. They're going to double peak it. So
V3 versus 1's this.
Should not come out on top, especially when he's bandaging. I think it might be timing. Gets the bandage off. It's a quick one. Is he gonna push back on the wall? BSD's going to be the one that peaks. Oh, if he times this just about right, he might get lucky with the catching one as they swing peek it. No, they're going to try and double peek. Gets himself the spray, gets zonked down, can't get around the corner. You can see what he wanted to do, but it will be Fenerbahce that come out on top with a 15-kill chicken dinner So some big performances on the final 2 rounds of Miramar. Gamer Legion, of course, getting an 18-kill round in the last matchup as well. Zuchtanam also getting a big points haul. That is really going to launch them up there. G2, by the way, a 4th place for them. Obviously, they had the compound work their way. They got themselves 6 kills in the process as well, of course.